And that was like a big part of like my coming out process was I was, a goalkeeper, and I felt so confident on the field that I was like, well, this confidence you really don't compartmentalize. Like it carries with you off the field. And I was like, well, this is who I am, and you can, take it or leave it. And that same confidence helped me like just really be honest with myself and my friends and my family about, how I was living my life.
Yeah, and that little bit of confidence comes from having a little bit of bravery.
Snaps to that, guys. That's why bravery is so important. It is important across every part of your life. There will be times where you need bravery, no matter if you're stepping on the field for the first time at 8, or if you're heading into college and you're about to live with a roommate you don't know, or going for that job interview, entering a relationship, whatever that next piece is or whatever your steps are, that bravery is required. And I think that's why it's so important for us as coaches, and why the three of us and everyone at TKI feel so passionate about helping develop that bravery muscle in our goalkeepers, because we know that it will transcend into all the areas of their life, that it will create this foundation for them to step into whatever their role is or whoever they're meant to be. So, as you know, we love a list. I have a list. I have a list of 3 things, and I'm going to kind of start out with each point for you guys, and then we'll let you two build off it, okay? Does that sound good? I know
Sure.
I think it sounds good. Point number 1 for me is you have to explore. There needs to be a sense of exploration when we're talking bravery. You give me a task, I'm going to try it out, and I'm going to see what fits, what doesn't for me. So exploration in a session could look like this. Jill, today we're working on being preventative. I want you to explore your spread. I know you know what the position looks like. I know you know how to get into the final action, but I want you to be brave to explore getting into it in a live sense, or when you have to make that choice.
Well, I think, first of all, anybody who's ever been brave before recognizes that in order to be brave, it has to be something scary first. And it doesn't have to be something that's completely frightening, but you're not sure. And sometimes the uncertainty is the piece that is a little bit, nerve wracking. And that's when it requires bravery, and it requires courage, is when you don't know the outcome of how it's going to work out for you. Right. And we at TKI ask goalkeepers to do things that are outside their comfort zone. We can't say with 100% confidence is that you're going to get this today, or that when you do this, it's 100% going to work. And so there is this uncertainty of what the outcome is going to be. And there's this acceptance of, I'm still going to be okay, even if it doesn't work, or if I fail or make a mistake. And so I think it's really important to note that, one, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably been brave in your life, and it's probably worked out for you in some circumstances, and it hasn't worked out for you in others. And I think that continuing to put ourselves in opportunities where we have the ability to choose bravery, it sets us up for success, not only with our performance and our outcomes, but it sets you up for success with experience, right? Like most people will say the best goalkeepers are the most experienced ones, right? And it doesn't always take 30 years to be experienced, because if you train this way, then you have experience with mistake management, right? And that's a huge critical piece of the game, because when you are brave, you don't know the outcomes. It could be good, which is great. I hope, it works out for you more times than it doesn't. But there are times where in games you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to already have that experience with your training. I've been brave. I've made mistakes before, and I know how to recover from them because I put attention there within my training, and I have experience wrestling with my worth being independent of my performance. And so I think that's like another maybe secondary or tertiary like advantage to choosing bravery within our training environments, is because not only does it give us experience tactically and technically, but it gives us experience mentally of like, how do I overcome this, feeling of, oh man, I just blew it,
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads us into point 2. So before I go into point 2, I'm going to allow Kira to talk about maybe anything that she has to say about how exploration can help you develop that bravery.
Yeah, I just think that if you're confident enough to explore and willing enough to explore, then you're automatically being brave and stepping into that space and allowing yourself to accomplish something or not. But you're going to learn so much. And if you do it once and you're brave in that one moment, like you slide into a spread in training and you've never done it before, now you're a lot more confident to get into that spread that second time, and it will be better. You'll continue to get better at it. And that importance of that first ounce of bravery is so important in whatever you're trying to learn or you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to go on to point 2. And Jill, you kind of already started to talk about that mental aspect of like bouncing back or having to face that adversity. Part of what it means to be brave is giving yourself permission to fail. I have to be okay with making the mistakes, conceding the goals, trying something and getting it wrong. Because failure is part of the process, not only to learning and growing and developing as a goalkeeper person, but also a big part of getting and acquiring some more bravery, or kind of like investing in your stock of bravery.
Yeah. I something I've been on about recently a lot is longevity within this career as a goalkeeper and sustainability. And the only way to do that, really, to bulletproof yourself against age, against level, whatever you get to, against your competition, is really to become the most well-rounded goalkeeper that you can be. Because the more well-rounded you are, the more problems that you can solve in the most efficient way. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let's say that you were only like growing up, you just thought about goalkeeping as shot stopping, right? Very traditional, you're a shot stopper. The game has evolved, right? So when I started playing soccer at age 8, I started when I was 8. By the time I became a pro, playing in possession was so important. And I hadn't developed those skills. Even when I got to college, I couldn't take my own goal kicks, which was crazy, right? And nowadays, if that's the case, you're not making a team if you can't take a goal kick, if you can't strike a ball, right? The game evolved and evolved and evolved. And if I think back to my career, like if I would have been more well-rounded, that would have been an easy task for me to adapt to, like being good in possession, right? Because I had the ability to play with both feet, or I had the ability to solve pressure, right? And we don't know what the game is going to look like in 10 years' time. And so I think it's really important for us to think about, well, how do I become more well-rounded? And if you want to become something, you have to sacrifice comfortability, right? If you want to become something that you're not, if you want to become better at shot prevention, if you want to be more aggressive with your vertical positioning, if you want to become something, you need to sacrifice at the comfortability of where you already are, right? And I think that requires so much bravery, but in the end, it ultimately will play to your benefit because you'll have more experience. Again, coming back to that experiencing, you will have more experience learning how to manage those situations. So by the time it comes to the game, you've already seen these situations so many times that your body just reacts in that flow state, which is what we want to be operating from and making decisions in. Because
welcome to the Keeper Institute podcast. My name is Tori Corsaro. I'm a strength and conditioning and goalkeeper coach here at the Keeper Institute and your host for today's show. The Keeper Institute is a unique goalkeeper training facility in New Jersey aimed at developing better goalkeepers and better people. On this podcast, we will be discussing all things goalkeeping, character development, and more. Back to another episode of the Keeper Institute podcast. That was good. That's exactly what I wanted out of that.
I wonder if people listen just to see like what variation of the air horn we're going to give or how we're going to talk about it.
We will talk about it. There's a few things that are guaranteed in this life, and it's death, taxes, and the air horn.
Yeah, correct.
Of course.
Yeah. I got to turn my volume up. I'm having a hard time hearing. All right, you guys, you're back, and we're so grateful that you choose to spend your time because, you know, time is what we got in this earth. We got to give, we have it to use, and you're choosing to use it with us, and how grateful I feel. How about you, Jill? Do you feel grateful?
I just did a podcast on Monday, and it was like a mental health podcast, and the leader of the podcast, the host, was like, let's check in and like see how you're feeling. And then we did it on the way out as well. And I went from feeling like super nervous and anxious to at the end feeling super grateful, like to have the conversation and being able to listen to other people's perspective, and also just like super grateful that if you're listening to this, like I really appreciate you spending your time with us. And I hope that we provide you value in this podcast.
How beautiful. Kira, are you feeling grateful?
I am feeling so grateful. I love doing this. This is so fun, and I love talking about soccer with you guys. So I'm so grateful for all of you guys for listening.
I'm glad we could bring a little joy, because I know our girl Kira's been having a rough go. So we're looking to bring some joy into her episode today.
Yeah.
But we're about to get a little fiery, because this topic, as always, we're excited. However, this topic is very near and dear to Kira and I's heart as non-Division I goalkeepers. But I think as a coach, it's near and dear to all of our hearts. We're talking about if you have to go D1. Is D1 the only option? Is it the quote-unquote best option when you're getting recruited? I think so often when goalkeepers are being recruited, the first thing that they want is to be a Division I soccer player. And, I think there's a full gamut of reasons why that might be. But a lot of times when people come to us with their list of, I'm looking at these schools, it lacks, Division III, Division II, NAIA, JUCO options, when in all reality, that could be the best option for that person. So I thought it would be a really cool topic for us to kind of comment on and talk about, especially considering, Jill played D1, I played D2, Kira played D3. We all have a wide variety of coaching experience at those levels as well.
Not only that, Tor, I just feel like even if you take the division out of it, so many players I speak with just have schools that are just high aspiration, like reach schools on their list.
Yeah.
And I just looked it up. It's less than 3% of people play Division I college soccer on the women's side. And so, yes, it is, hard to play Division I, but also it's just really important to keep our eyes open to other opportunities that you think you don't want, but might be a really enjoyable experience and opportunity for you.
Yeah. And oftentimes I see so many kids come in with these lists of schools, and they're all D1 schools that they would not choose if soccer was not in the picture. And that is really where I find athletes go wrong, because anything can happen. You might not like the coach when you get there. You might not like the team. You might get injured. And picking a school that you love despite soccer is so important. And when you're just focused on D1 schools, you totally take that out of the picture.
Absolutely. And I think you make a great point, Jill. It's not even sometimes about division. It could even just be about like that school itself. And I think we can all be honest here. Power 4 is almost like its own separate entity. And I think a lot of people come in thinking, oh, I want to play at a Power 4 school. But I'd love to see a statistic on that too. Like, what's the reality of amount of female soccer players that play P4?
Right. I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to ask Google at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be beyond Google and AI.
That is true.
Probably not, but whatever. Okay, so these are all really great points, but let's chat about it. I'm going to start with this, and then you guys tell me your thoughts. I think, and Kira said this before we got started as well, most people think D1 because of the financial opportunity that arises there. And, Division II has that same ability to give out financial athletic scholarship, not just financial aid, need-based or academic. But the thing is like, depending on where you go, that might even not be a factor considering what you're thinking, because schools have only a certain amount that's allotted to them by their university. So just because it's a D1 school doesn't mean that they're going to have 28 full rides. Now, maybe, I'm just throwing out a random one out there, I don't know that it's factual, Clemson does. Maybe Clemson has 28 full rides, and that's amazing. But most Division I schools have a fraction. They have maybe anywhere from 3 to 28 scholarships, full scholarships that they can divvy amongst the team. So just because you're going D1 also doesn't guarantee you to get that athletic scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just think it's important, and I understand that, because I'm not sure I would have been able to go to school if I didn't get a scholarship, right? And I am one of the probably very small amount of people who didn't actively pursue recruiting. Like, I just didn't send out emails. I didn't talk to coaches. I didn't call anyone. I only had 2 schools that called me on that day when everyone can call you. Only 2 schools called me, and I just chose one of them. And I really did luck out because it was an amazing opportunity for me, but I didn't actively pursue any of those things. And I think that we miss out opportunities because we get so narrowed in on, I have to go to this division or this conference or this maybe bigness of a school, or I need to do and have this experience. But I think maybe one of the biggest things that can kind of guide our decision is why. It's just asking that question, why? And is that going to be meaningful in 10 years' time? Is it going to be that meaningful in 10 years' time? Like for me personally, I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to play. And of course, nowadays you don't have that guarantee of schools saying you're going to play all 4 years, right? Because if someone's making you that type of guarantee, you should probably hesitate. But you want to go someone that's realistic, that you can play. Like for me, that was really, really important. And I didn't want to be going to a school where I wasn't being valued monetarily because I couldn't afford it, right? But also for some people, it's like that is a good way for you to kind of gain insight on if they're really serious about you or not. But I think asking ourselves why, like personally, didn't want to go into, $200,000 of debt to play soccer anymore, especially at that point in my career. Professional soccer wasn't really a thing in the States. So there was no future after school. So I wanted to make sure that I enjoyed my last 3 or 4 years of playing if I could, and also not graduate with a ton of debt. So I think asking ourselves why things are important, and maybe we don't necessarily need to get an athletics. We need a scholarship, and maybe we go somewhere where we get something that's like more academic or financial aid or something like that we can also consider, which might broaden our scope of where is going to be the place I land, like a great fit for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because finances are important. Like no one here is saying that that's not. If you can get that where you can get academic and athletic, and you can limit how much debt you go into, like when you are done playing soccer or you're done with school, like that is so important because no one wants to have to pay back loans. It's hard. It's not an easy route, right? Like it doesn't matter if we're talking school, a car, or a house. Like it's not easy to do. So I understand the value and the importance of making the right financial decision. And I think sometimes, on the contrary, people end up paying a lot more because they want to play at that Division I school who's only giving them pennies on the dollar, and they're qualifying for academic. But let's say they went to a state school, played, they would have had half of that, because of the academic package they qualified for. So I think it's to say that finances are very important, but athletic scholarship isn't the only thing to consider.
Yeah, I think that's why it's really important to have good grades so that you broaden your range of schools that you can apply to. And that way, if a school is only giving you a small amount of athletic scholarship, you have more academic scholarship money that maybe you can fall back on.
True.
Well, I was going to ask you, Tori, is like, well, what other factors should people be considering when they're looking at schools? Because, financials is a piece, playing time is a piece, but I do think that there's not way more, but there are other important factors that we at least want to consider, right? Maybe in the end, we decide that like, that maybe is like, not a need. It's like, I would want to go to a bigger school, but I don't need to go to a bigger school. But what are some of the other factors that I should consider when thinking about a good fit for me?
I think a big one, because no matter what division you play at, you're spending a lot of time with a certain group of people. The same way you want them to want you, you want to want them. Like when I step on campus, do I feel welcome? Do I feel a sense of community amongst the players? Is there an open communication between coach player? Like when you go to these ID camps, I think one of my favorite things that my boss Jess says is like, watch us, see us interact, see us talk with people. How does it feel when we talk to you? Like you need to know if you like us, not just if we like you. So I think that one is huge, and it's something that you have to really try to take in and consider when you get the opportunity to be on campus with the team, coach, any kind of interaction.
And adding to that, a lot of times athletes have a lot of success when they take it as an interview process. You're interviewing the coach. You're making sure that that coaching style is a good fit for you, that that school is a good fit for you, that you like the field, that you like the practice environment. And you're taking it as an interview because this is about your process. And most college coaches want you to be wherever the best fit is for you. And if that's not their program, sometimes, I mean, they're going to be okay with that as long as you're happy, because you're not going to do well in a program you're not happy with. So taking that process as an interview process for you and being very precise on what you're actually looking for is super important.
Absolutely.
I just feel like, I don't know, I kind of think of recruiting like dating.
I was thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's exactly like dating.
Yes. And like, sometimes you don't know what you want until you're like, oh, I definitely don't want that. Right? Like, oh no, cannot be with someone who is lazy. Sorry. Right? Like, and you're like, wow, cannot go to a school in the Midwest. No offense to Midwest, but like, maybe that's you, right? But you don't know until you like experience it. You go on campus and you like, travel around a little bit. Did you guys have any of those like, oh, I really didn't know I didn't want this until I experienced X?
In dating or in recruiting?
No. Let's keep it
in dating, yes.
No, recruiting.
I honestly, if I did my process, I don't have regrets about anything, but if I did my process knowing what I know now, I would do things so different. But the handful of schools I did visit, I feel like I really enjoyed each one. Like I enjoyed them all, but for very different reasons. And then ultimately I made the decision that made sense for me at that time.
Right.
Yeah. For me, I knew I wanted a small school, and I did tour some schools that were definitely way too small. So that would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that I didn't want to go to a big school until I went on my official visit. Back then, like you actually had to go on your official visits. Like it wasn't like it is now, but I didn't realize that I didn't want to go to a big school like that. Like I felt like the campus was way too big. Everybody was so spread out. Everybody was like kind of on their own islands that, the school I chose, Villanova, was like a very small, very intimate school where, I had a lot of friends in the athletic community that I could see walking through my halls of my dorm or, in our alternate housing. And that was something that became really important to me once I got that knowledge of like, I need a smaller school.
Right. It's funny that Nova was considered a small school, but it's a lot smaller than your other option.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, Villanova still only has like probably less than 10,000 undergrad. And I went to high school with like 2,500 or more, like 3,000 people. So
yeah. High school is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think those things are important though. And those are like, mine is a feeling. And I think it's hard because you're asking someone who's 16, 17 years old to like really tap into what they're feeling and thinking and think down the road. And it's a hard decision to make, but I think that's why it's even more important to give it a lot of consideration. So with that being said, what would you guys say is a good starting point? Like if I don't want to just consider D1 and I'm entering my recruiting years, like where would you guys say a goalkeeper should start?
I think location is a good one, and size of the school. That's a good place to start.
I think that a good place to start is always inside of like just checking in to see like what your priorities are and then asking why is that a priority. Like when I first started the recruiting process, my first thing was I don't care where it is in the country. I don't care. Like put me on the moon. I want to go as far away from home as possible. And then I ended up going 60 minutes from my house. And I really liked that because then I still had my connection in my community with my friends and my family, and they could come to my games, which ultimately became very important to me. So I think that just checking in with yourself is like, it's not just about what level, what conference, what school, like that in the end is very trivial, right? I think it is about a larger fit for your whole life, not just your soccer life, because there's so much more that goes into your college experience, like what if, I wanted to be a doctor? Well, like maybe I wanted to go to one of the best med schools or something like that. So that might be the top of my priority list. Or if I wanted my parents to be able to see me play, then that might kind of groove out where my possibilities are. So I think it's important for every single individual to kind of come up with like, what are you looking for from your experience and what's important to you? And sometimes like there is no perfect fit. And I think that's important for everyone to realize is you're not going to have a school that checks every single box, right? But I do think it's important that we don't fantasize about what school we want to go to, because I think when we fantasize about something, we don't really consider the negative things about it, right? Like, so if I fantasize about going to, I don't know, Stanford, okay, all the education, the soccer, like I fantasize about all those things, then I don't consider that that's actually 3,000 miles away, and that I would really struggle without the connection of my family, right?
Yeah.
We want to like kind of we want to consider those things, because I think sometimes when our reality doesn't match what we expected, we feel disgruntled or we feel frustrated, right? Whereas if we know I know I'm conceding that I'm not going to see my family as much. I have that in the back of my head. When that feeling of like I'm missing them comes up, it's like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. I prepared for this, and I've accepted that this is my reality, right? It's like easier to digest and easier to accept when we kind of have already weighed the negative parts about it as well. So I think it's so important we don't fantasize about something, that we don't own, that we just neglect the negatives, right? Because like, I'm sorry, I'm not dating a lazy person. So like, I don't care how beautiful they are and how, I don't yeah, I don't care about their, how attractive they might seem or how smart they are. I am not dating someone who is lazy. So we have to really have like those like non-negotiables in the back of our head, or like exactly what we might be looking for. Again, there is no perfect fit, but at least I know when I'm conceding something, it will match my eventual expectations of what it actually is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, choose your hard, right? Doesn't matter what you're doing, there's going to be hard involved. Hard to be far from my family, but it can be hard to be close too, because I feel the pull to go home on the weekends all the time. But it's difficult no matter what you do. It is a hard thing. Just like no matter what division or school you play at, it is hard. There's a lot of commitment. There's a lot of sleepless nights and travel and fighting for playing time. It is not easy, but I think that you make a great point. It's like, number one, can we look inward? And then if we're talking about like the tangibles, like making my list for my schools, like who I should include, maybe it's, have they contacted me? Like, okay, I'm going to write them down over here. I'll keep it here. They've contacted me. They show interest. Then it's okay. Location and size of the school. It's important for me to be this close to home, or it's just important to me to not go to a big school because I want to have that like smaller relationship with my classmates and my professors. And then I think from there, it's also, okay, that's almost the entry points. These are the initial things I'm looking for. And then you can kind of trickle down, right? Okay. Let's say what conference they compete at. I don't want to travel all over the country and be gone on flights for a week at a time. Maybe I would X out this team because they play in this conference and I know it's a large travel schedule. So I think you can kind of go down the line once you knock out some of those bigger things first, because you have to decide, like you said, Jill, what are you willing to sacrifice and what are you not?
Yeah. I want to just putting a button on this as well, is that I just want to impart on people that most people that are listening to this podcast, your college experience will be the last time you play soccer competitively. And and I know that there's a lot of people that on here that have pipe dreams, and I'm never going to tell you that you can't achieve that. But for just statistically speaking, from my own personal experience of working with many, many players and many, many college athletes, most people that play college soccer will not play professionally after. That's just the reality, right? Yeah. So choose somewhere that you're going to play and that you are going to be afforded an opportunity to enjoy your football, because so much of the way people live their life in youth sports is I will be happy when I get that opportunity to play in college soccer. I am just putting off, I am deferring, I'm deferring my joy and my ability to enjoy this sport until I get to the college soccer, right? And so what happens is for so long, the whole goal is college soccer, and everything in my brain is reaching out to teams and reaching out to head coaches and going to ID clinics and sending out my schedule. And so much of my mental space is commandeered by those questions that we don't enjoy it. And like, yes, we can work harder to enjoy it for sure. And that's probably an episode for another podcast, and being present and enjoying our journeys, right? And, like letting that be the outcome and every day be our process. But most of you aren't going to play after. So choose somewhere that you can play, that you can enjoy your experience, because most likely it will be the last one that you have.
True. That's mic drop.
Right. Man, where was this podcast episode when I was going through the recruiting process?
Because it's so hard. It's so stressful. Like, we have goalkeepers in here that are in middle school and starting their first showcase tournaments, and you can see them getting like revved up for a tournament instead of excited to go and stay in a hotel with their team and have fun and play.
Yeah.
And it's just this pressure cooker of an environment when you're talking recruiting. And I think we only make it more pressurized when we limit ourselves to what we think is okay or making it or successful.
Yeah.
I think if you play a college sport, you're impressive to me. Like,
100%.
Hands down. Who cares? Like, who cares where it was or what division? You committed to something. You worked at something. You competed. You had to be a good teammate. Like, that is itself the feat, not where it was.
Totally. And I want to say this too, is that a lot of the like Power 4 schools or whatever, they're not really playing younger goalkeepers.
True.
They aren't necessarily recruiting 15 and 16-year-olds. It happens, right? But a lot of these teams are also looking for people in the portal that are proven, experienced college goalkeepers. And so there is absolutely nothing wrong with going to a smaller school, even if you have aspirations to play at SEC, ACC, whatever. Going to a mid-major school, you ball out, you beast it, you play all the minutes, you are the best player on the team, and then you go in the portal and you hope to be picked up by a better team. Right there, I just would say, like, even if you wanted to play pro, now you have 2 more years experience, whereas someone, we work with goalkeepers all the time who go to these big schools and never play one single minute of their whole college career. What's more damning to your professional career? Not playing one single minute in your college career. It doesn't matter if it's at an ACC school or a Big Ten school or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you don't play minutes, no one is going to be able to recruit you because they don't know who you are. They've never seen the evidence. And you have lost 4 years of your life sitting the bench and not playing. I'm not saying that's for everybody. That was for me. I wanted to play. I wanted to enjoy my football. I wanted to be on the field. I wanted to be contributing. I redshirted my freshman year and played all 4 years, and I loved it. It was an amazing experience. And it helped me be a better pro because I had 4 years of experience in a game. And that might not be for everybody. Some people might want to go to the mega school and sit the bench and never play one single minute, and more power to you. But if you are not that person and you want to play and you want to contribute, I really encourage you. If you have not heard from Tennessee until your senior year, they're not interested. Pick somewhere else, right? Like maybe you're reaching out of your depth, or maybe they don't need a goalkeeper in your year or whatever. Just broaden your horizons, make your pool bigger. Have some more schools that want you on their team, that want you to contribute, that want to pay you to contribute, in a scholarship or whatever, and go from there. Go from there.
Yeah.
Because I think if I asked most people if they want to play, they would say yes.
Yes.
But they concede that, even though they'll go into a conversation saying, that's my non-negotiable is I want to play. And I'm like, well, why are you going to school where you're not going to play? And they're not showing you a financial, backing that they think that you'll play. Just, read the writing on the wall, even though it's not the writing you want to read it. And then you make your choice. Yeah.
But it doesn't even, that's the thing too. I think people think it says something about them or I guess their ability or their talent level or their ceiling, but it doesn't.
Right.
They might just not need you.
Right.
Just because it's your dream school, you have to remember they may have not heard of you, right? And they have their 2 goalkeepers in the next 2 years. Like it's just doesn't say something about you. And yeah, sometimes, like you might not be at a school's level. And that's okay because there is a level for you. And I'm a very firm believer that if you want to play college soccer, there is a school for you.
Right.
You have to put the work in no matter where you play.
Right.
But there's somewhere for you that you could be a good fit.
Last thing I want to say, this is something I hear all the time, okay? I went to the ID clinic and I was the best goalkeeper there. I bet you were. I bet you were. But you know what? Some of the schools are not recruiting from those ID clinics. And you aren't competing against just the person at that ID clinic. You're competing against their entire pool of players. And players that don't necessarily need to go to the ID clinics to be recruited.
That's a really good point.
Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yep.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone they're considering might not be there that day or at the club.
And to your point, Tori, we talked about this before the podcast. We typically have 3 bullet points. We typically want to share with you guys, hey, A, B, C, do these steps and you might improve. But today was not about that. It was about a rant. I'm sorry. I wanted to share a lot of things that I hear on a regular basis from players that maybe I don't want you to fall into those same traps.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's just the same repetitive mistakes over and over and over again. And however, I want to echo what you said is like, there is a place for everybody. Like when I chose Villanova, it wasn't in the top 50 schools in the country. It was a school where I got a decent scholarship and I thought I could contribute to the team. And the coach really wanted me. Came to my house, ate dinner with my family, like really wanted me. And like, that felt really good to me. And that was important to me. And if you guys want to play, if you want to contribute, if you want ABC, go get it. And there is a place for you to be able to do that. There is. And also, don't give up on yourself. Keep pursuing your dreams. Keep pursuing the reach schools. Keep pursuing those really high, ambitious opportunities, but also have some other schools available to you in your pool as well.
Absolutely.
Have it all. Broaden your horizons. Broaden your skills.
Yeah, we're dreamers here. Like, we're never going to say no to a dreamer. Like,
right.
It doesn't matter if you are thinking and talking about someone on our staff. I think all of us could probably say we had huge aspirations, high goals, and weren't afraid to throw ourselves out there. And we coach a lot of goalkeepers like that too. And we're never going to tell you you can't achieve that or you can't pursue that. But you also want to have your mind open to other options so that you can find what works best for you.
Correct. And so that you have, in the end, really, is so that you have more choices. The last thing that you want to do is put all your eggs in any school in the ACC and not open your eyes to any other schools that you potentially are interested in. And then at the end, be like, well, no one recruited me and I don't have any opportunities, right? So ultimately, it's really to help yourself on the back end so that you do have ample choices and that you can be satisfied in a choice that you made. And not by default, but like, this is actually the best choice for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are such great tips. And the process is so hard when you're getting recruited. It starts from a young age. You don't really know where you are, what you want. And it's such a difficult process. And I think we only have this perspective because we've coached in college and seen a whole different side of building a program and being like, oh my God, this girl's so amazing, but I don't have roster spots. And just running into all these different problems, and you get a whole different perspective of it. But if you're trying to go through this process, like, please keep trying, keep your options open, and just be open to whatever you want and get an idea of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
No question today because Jill needs to go to work. Okay. But you guys, thank you for joining our rant. We don't always rant on here, but this one was important. So thank you for joining us. If you have questions or you need support during your journey, you know where to reach us.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.
Bye.